Hey, what's good, everybody? It's me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, and you're watching Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Joining me, as always, is my co-host from the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast, Rebellious D. D, how you doing today?
Swell, man, ready to rock. It's almost Halloween.
It is
I
almost
cannot
Halloween.
wait. I've been
We are
watching a ton of
almost
weird stuff.
here. That's right.
I don't know if you've ever watched this, but you guys ever seen the show Grimm?
No, I have not seen the show.
Yeah, I heard of it too until like 2 weeks ago. I've just been watching it. Had a really good, successful run, 6 seasons, 22 episodes a season. So yeah, I encourage you guys to watch it. It's great for this time of year. But go ahead, continue, Captain.
Hey, I'll add it to the list. Joining us is, friend of the podcast. She's come up here before, done Disney stuff with us. She did Hocus Pocus 2 with us that we did a review for recently. And that's our friend, Beca Maldonado. Becca, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's almost the end of spooky season, so I'm trying to get every bit of goodness out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's right.
All Hallows Eve.
Man, we are almost here, man. And I don't know, like I feel very scared because like one night I was recording and then I saw 3 water bugs and like, yo, they coming for me. It's one thing to see one, and it's just like I had heard something and it's like I saw it, I tried to kill it and it got away, and then it climbed up the wall and I was sitting here recording and I was just like, yo, I can't get up right now because I'm recording, and then it flew across the room. I was just like, bro, like come on. So then I killed it, right? And so then after I killed it, I went into my bedroom and then there was one on the floor. So I killed that one, right? And so then I'm about to go to sleep and I'm about to turn my alarm on for work the next day. And I have like what is it called? Like the lint roller that you get the lint off your clothes. Tell me why the water bug was stuck to the lint roller. I was just like, yo, what is going on here? Yeah. So like that's my scary story for spooky season. Yeah, they were trying to kill me, but
Jesus.
But I know, but we are doing a review for Wendell Wild, which just came out on Netflix. It was a really awesome movie. It was directed by Henry Selick, and it was a screenplay written by him and Jordan Peele. So before we get into today's review, everybody that's watching, make sure that you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you hit that bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content here on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And D, like you say every time,
as always, episodes of the podcast found in the description. Like, follow, subscribe to the channel, and thank you everybody for watching and enjoying the spooky season with us.
That's right. And and since Halloween is the next day, Becca, usually Trav, he gives our tip of the day, but since this is the spooky season, what is your tip of the day for the spooky season?
Paint your nails and glow in the dark so that way you can see where you're going.
Hell yeah. That's actually a great tip.
It is.
You can get some glow-in-the-dark nail polish at the dollar store. I've been doing it consistently. I love it, and it's super fun at night.
Ooh.
Nice. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, spooky.
Hey, look. I mean, it's the season.
You wake up in the dark, the first thing you see is your fingers.
Hell but
yeah.
I don't know. I think the water bug was probably I don't know. But anyway, let's talk about this Wendell Wild. So Henry Selick. He directed The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach, Monkey Bone, Coraline. Coraline was the last film that he directed, and that was back in 2009. Yep. And when I was watching this movie, like those were the vibes that I got when I was watching it. Now, I didn't know that it was the same guy that had directed all that stuff. I'm one of those type of people where after I watch something, I go to Wikipedia and look up everybody that was in the movie, look up the director and stuff. And I was just like, it makes sense. And I just thought that, the stop motion, it was beautiful in this movie. And I just want to know, like, what about you? Starting with you, D, what did you think about the stop motion that they used? Because I know you're somebody that loves, the old school prosthetics in movies and stuff like that. So what were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I love any sense of practical effects and things like that. And this is a really old technique. You don't really see it too much anymore. And he's one of the people that's continuously used it over the time. And as soon as it came on, I was like, this looks just like Coraline. That's literally what I said in the opening sequence. So hats off to him. Also, did you stay around and watch the little snippet at the very end?
Yeah.
Where he was kind of fooling around. I thought that was really cool and thoughtful.
There was something at the end.
Yeah, there's a
where he was.
after credits.
Go ahead.
Where you see him like kind of going through the studio, and he's like looking for Kat, and you actually see her. She's like hiding. Was she behind a desk or a lamp?
So it was some sort of
kind of animating.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a blinder kind of thing.
See?
It wasn't. And what's cool is like as the credits are going, you kind of see the deconstruction of that claymation process. So you see like the finished product, but then you start to see kind of snippets and stills of them working on the project. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Box Trolls from Leica Studios. They kind of do something similar where they have a running gag at the after credits where you slowly see them kind of deconstructing as two of the, animated characters, the puppets, are having a conversation about whether or not there is some kind of puppet master that is controlling their lives or if they have free will. So I thought that was like a really funny way to like incorporate the connection, because you don't get that generally with regular animation. But I love that they do include that to kind of show you like, hey, these are all very practical. These are physical things that we are manipulating.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get that little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, always.
Yeah. And, I just want to say that I appreciate you guys saying that there's something after the credits, because now people that watch this review, they're going to be like, oh, okay, then I need to stick around to the end, because it's like you would think after having so many Marvel movies come out over the years that you would stick around after the credits. But, with movies like this, what was the other movie? Jingle Jangle, for example. It's just like, after I finished watching that, I listened to the music at the end and then I just turned it off. But it makes you think, it's just like, dang, well, what if there was something after Jingle Jangle now? I don't know. I mean, maybe I just might be looking too deep into
as
it.
As you do.
Hocus Pocus 2 had their like after credit scene as well.
Yep, true. Yep, that's true. That's true. I stayed around for that. So, what's interesting about this movie is that it was announced back in 2015 that it was in development. And, I also had read that there was a book that was supposed to come out about this as well. And, I just think it's interesting that this was announced back then and like it took so long to make. But I feel like, with projects like this, because like Becca had mentioned before we started recording, like this thing is almost 2 hours long. So the process that goes into, using stop motion figures and the puppets and all that stuff, of course, it's going to take a while compared to if you put something out like, using 3D animation. Like it doesn't take that long, So I think that it's really interesting that, it was announced back then as well. You had Keegan-Michael Key, Jordan Peele brought onto the project, and I love those guys. I feel like both of them can do no wrong. Like everything that they have done ever since Mad TV with their show Key and Peele on Comedy Central, the stuff that Jordan Peele has directed, like Nope, Us, what's the other one? Get Out, and then Keegan-Michael Key, he starred and voice acted in so many movies. I mean, I just mentioned Jingle Jangle. I didn't even know the man could sing until I watched that movie. I do wish that there was a singing number in this movie, because I feel like it would have been awesome to hear his lovely voice again. But Becca, like, how do you feel about the casting choices that they had in this movie?
Oh, I think the casting was perfect. Especially like the voice for Buffalo Belzer.
Yes.
Like he brought so much personality, and I love the voice of Kat, Raul. We have Angela Bassett. Like
there's some classics in there.
Man, great casting. And I mean with Jordan and Keegan, I feel like we remember them being together, but they've gone off to do so many great projects on their own. So it's kind of nice when we occasionally get to hear them together. The last thing that I remember them voicing together was actually in Toy Story 4. Was that, what was it?
The
Bunny
stuffed animals
and Ducky, I think.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just like really want to hear them as a duo. So it was nice to get that. But yeah, the voice casting was great. Angela Bassett is always amazing. I'm not familiar with the actress who voiced Kat. I think it was Lyric Ross.
Yes.
Are
you familiar with her?
I see that she was on This Is Us.
She
was on This Is Us, and she's been in a couple of things that come on NBC. But you know, since I had mentioned Marvel earlier, and we're all Marvel fans, she's going to be on the Ironheart TV series.
Oh, nice.
Also, I think there's another gentleman from This Is Us that's in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I came across it earlier today, I think it was. I think that's the show. But he's being added to, I don't know the character or anything, but it was just like a poster thing saying that he
Are you talking about for Ant-Man?
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
He's on The Good Place. I'm mad I can't remember his name right now, but there's rumors that he's gonna be Mr. Fantastic in the MCU because Kang and Mr. Fantastic are brothers. I found this out too. I didn't know that. Yeah, they're brothers, and
he has a lot to do with the Fantastic Four.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a possibility. I think he's a good actor. I'm about to look him up. I can't remember his name, but before I look him up, I wanted to mention Becca Buffalo Belzer. That was Ving Rhames, and I thought that was awesome. It's always awesome hearing Ving Rhames stuff. Like I love him.
Such a powerful voice.
Powerful voice, bro. I didn't know that he was the one doing the Arby's commercial. Like when I found out, I was just like, "Are you for real?"
Surprised, Banks. Looking back on what we do and talking to the wonderful people we get to interview and stuff, you notice that a lot of them say that that's where the money is in advertisements.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And voice acting, it's a consistent paycheck, but it's almost like they're saying it without saying it, that it comes second to advertisements. So I'm not surprised to come and find out that certain people are doing advertisements for companies. So, yeah.
So that actor's name too is William Jackson Harper. That's the actor. Yeah. So something
but they haven't.
Go ahead.
They haven't officially revealed who he's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. But I feel like that's who it's going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Because I mean, like a Mr. Fantastic, Bill.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know who else he would be.
He could be Michael.
It could be the Human Torch too.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean,
unfortunately, it's true.
But no, one thing I wanted to bring up is something I feel like they didn't touch on in this film was that Wendell and Wild were with Kat since the beginning. Like they were the double-headed worm that had came out of the apple.
Yeah,
like they showed it, but I was expecting her to realize that it was them, or if they revealed that, it's our fault that happened to your parents and whatnot. And, speaking of her parents, I thought it was cool that she was able to see her parents again. And I don't know. I'm one of those type of people where it's just like when people come back from the dead, I expect them to be evil. I don't know. I guess it's because of Pet Cemetery and all of the other movies.
That's a good start. See,
it depends on what was the
premise,
the way that they were brought back. Because there's some instances where it's like, if there's a spell, they're going to come back, but it's going to come back as something evil. And so it was cool that they just came back as themselves.
Exactly.
I mean, Billy wasn't evil.
Wasn't?
Billy wasn't evil.
No.
In Hocus Pocus, he just wanted. I mean, I guess he wanted to get back at her, and then he just.
Yeah.
He was just.
He was just.
But I mean, it depends on like the parents. They usually will establish, when they're giving a warning. Like I think in Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, I think on Netflix, they established that if you cast the spell, or even a practical magic, they do the same thing. If you bring them back, it's not going to come back as the same.
Well, I mean, it's I can relate this to like Dungeons and Dragons in a way, because if a necromancer brings you back, you're probably like an evil servant. But if a cleric brings you back, then you're just going to be you. So yeah, I guess it depends on what deity brings you back. Yeah. Yep.
I thought it was interesting that all of the demons in the movie, like, they weren't evil. Because it's just like, when you think about demons, you think that they're evil, but Wendell and Wild, they just wanted to start their own amusement park. They had the book, and I thought it was funny where it was not shaving cream. What was it? Shaving cream?
It's hair
cream.
Hair cream was
magic hair cream.
Yeah, magic hair cream. Like they was just sitting there eating it, and it's just like, man, y'all could bring my parents back to life. Y'all sitting here eating the cream.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing half the time. They were just chilling.
Banks, I wanna run by a theory. Run a theory by you. Because while I was watching the movie, I was wondering to myself, you know, when she bites into the candy apple and like you see the two-headed monster, I was wondering in the back of my head if maybe that wasn't necessarily Wendell Wild. What if it was actually a foreshadowing of like the Claxtons? Because like later on in the movie, when you see Raul's art project, they are portrayed as a two-headed dragon. And the worm itself was two-headed, whereas Wendell and Wild, even though they're paired together, it's not like a conjoined visual.
It could be like a repeating theme though, too. Not, I mean, to expand on what you're saying, it could just be a repeating theme throughout the movie. Like you see it so many times now that you bring it up. You see it in the worm, the dragon, the evil company, the husband wife, I think they are.
Yeah, Claxon Court.
Yeah, and then you get Wendell Wild. That's another pair of two. You know, so maybe. And then you really you could say that then you get the two what did they call them? Hell Maidens.
Hell Maidens.
Yeah, you get two Hell Maidens later, and they become bonded together as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, it's a possibility. I mean,
a repeated thing.
I think that is you know, a good theory, because with this movie, it's just like I would be down to see a sequel, because it's just like now that she's a Hell Maiden now, and I feel like you can explore that, because it's kind of like what we were talking about when we did our review for Raya and Last Dragon. It's just that, you know, you had villains in the movie, but they weren't really villains. And I feel like in this movie, it's just like the villains were, you know, the Claxons, but it's just like you didn't have like any evil demons. Because it's like even their dad, Belzar, you know, he wasn't really
an amusement park for souls.
He was just an amusement park. So, you know, now that, you know, we know that she's a Hell Maiden, it's just like maybe there could be some more where it's just like now it's just like she has a real threat that's coming to the town. And I would be down, like if they want to do it and it's gonna take a couple more years, I'd be down for it. What about you, D?
It would be interesting if they chose to do a sequel to this. I look at it as kind of like a one-off story. Like most, you know, claymation / stock footage films. It would, I mean, but they do, you know, she does have powers now, so who knows? But it's just, I don't know, Banks. I'd have to think about it, but I think it's better as a one-off.
Yeah.
You know, I just do. Now, if you want to give me another Jingle Jangle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take another one of those.
I'd be down for that.
Yes.
Becca?
I think it would be interesting if they do decide to make a sequel to this, because obviously when we watched this film, we found out as things unfolded that the real villain, the real thing that they were fighting against was something that was very practical. It was the private prison system. It was people who are greedy. And so there was like a lot of this social commentary that was very realistic. But when it gets to like the supernatural elements where you have the demonology and the whole thing about the Hell Maidens and their connection to demons and all of that, for this movie, they created a very unique system of demonology that I think is really interesting, because when I finished the movie, one of the first things that I did was like go to Wikipedia, and I was like, well, what's a Hell Maiden? Like, is there, you know, pre-existing mythology that relates back to, and I think that Henry Selick and Jordan Peele working on this, they created something that was completely brand new. It doesn't connect really to any of our previous notions about demons and how they, you know, even the way that they created the kind of the underworld, where the souls are being tortured. It was a very unique story. So I think that because they made it their own, there's a lot of different places that they could take it if they did decide to do a sequel. So I don't know if they would do, if say they decided to make a sequel, if they would make the next villain something that again is practical and realistic that they have to fight with, or if they would go down the supernatural route.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. I mean, Go ahead, D.
No, I just want to say if they do choose to do a sequel, it could be a little bit before we see it. So,
yeah, and that's what I was think saying. Yeah, and that's cool though.
Yeah, but and that's my biggest fear with any standalone project is the choice to continue or not. Banks, something we talk about time and time again with things that should be left, left alone, and people choose to, continue it, and then they don't really put the heart into it like they did the original, and then it just kind of fizzles.
Yeah,
is that something with the projects that these particular people have put together, like Key and Peele, they take their time, is what I would say about their careers. It's almost like spaced out. And I don't know. So if they do that, I'm fine with it. But don't rush to make a sequel and it's just kind of, you don't have any returning cast members and all that kind of stuff. I think those are the projects that fail. Ultimately.
Well, I feel like everybody would be able to return from this. And I mean, the cast that they have in the movie, like everybody's still young and they're still acting and whatnot. And, I would be down for it if they waited a while because, again, like I said, this was announced in 2015 and we're in 2022, about to go into 2023. So, I mean, I would be down for it. And plus now that they already have all of the, claymation and all that stuff made for the characters. I mean, it shouldn't take as long, I would think. So I would be down for a sequel. And, one last thing I want to touch on before we get to our final thoughts and what our ratings are for the film is one thing I wanted to say was that when this movie was announced, it got a lot of love because a lot of people grew up watching, Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas. And one of the things that I will say that this movie had a lot of was representation. Like there were so many different people of color in this movie. And, I feel like we're in a time now where we're seeing that a lot more and it's becoming more accepting because, there was this stuff with Tim Burton that came out. I can't remember what movie he had did a interview for where he was talking about, not having Black characters in his movies and whatnot. And Henry Selick, he did The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was, one of Tim Burton's most popular movies, well, one of them. And, we're finally getting a main character that's Black, which I think is cool. And it's a girl too. So, I think that it's awesome seeing that type of stuff in this movie. Becca, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness. I love the representation that we had. We had so much variety. And one thing also that was really cool is to see that when Kat entered into this new school, you almost expect when she's getting introduced to, the, popular girls, their little group, you would think that they would shun her out or even that they would shun out Raul, but they really weren't. There wasn't any, it was kind of refreshing to not see these characters
the same stale routine.
Yeah, to get those, get mistreated or get bullied in any way. It was kind of refreshing to see that it was just like the understanding that we have different personality types and that's okay. You're still embraced here. But we understand that you have a past, so you may be a bit more edgy, a bit more standoffish. You might not embrace your new surroundings because you've been through so much and you've already had so much self-hatred, but none of that was ever directed at her, or at least we didn't really see it, except for kind of the montage of her seeing her experience in the past that brought her to that girls' school.
I do want to piggyback off of that, and it is refreshing, but I wanted to touch on when I saw the trio of cool girls or whatever, mean girl, whatever you want to call them. It reminded me of the three little kids from A Nightmare Before Christmas, or the little demon kids or whatever they were.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of, especially the way they were kind of dancing around her or whatever at first. I was like, oh, that's reminiscent of The Nightmare Before Christmas. But I do want. I think it's A Nightmare Before Christmas. Is there? Yeah, I'm pretty.
Yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas has a little demon kid.
And but it's refreshing, and this is how I choose to get my representation back. This is something that you and I again talk about from time to time about changing the ethnicity or the sex of a character. Like Marvel I don't know if DC's really done it, but Marvel we've seen a lot because of the output of their movies. Mm-hmm. But it's like, give me something fresh. I don't need you to change the characters that I've grown up with. Create new ones.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of just creating something. This is just, this is their story to tell, and this is who they made her. And I'm totally okay with it. And I mean, we need more of it, Like Ironheart is a great example. Okay, it's like you have, especially with these shows and things that are built off of pre-existing universes, use your universe, use your characters. That's all I ask.
Okay. All right. I like that. So we're here at the end of the review, and I want us to all give our final ratings and our final thoughts for the movie. I'll start it off. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. And, when we do reviews a lot, because me and D, we're always on the road, we're usually driving around watching stuff. And I was driving to West Virginia, and I had told my tag partner, I was like, nah, you know what? I want to actually watch this movie and enjoy it. And I'm glad that I did, because if I had watched it while I was driving, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much as I do. So I give it a 10 out of 10. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the representation. I enjoyed the story. It was never a dull moment while I was watching this. Sometimes you watch movies and it's like they have those slowdowns in them, movies or TV shows, but I feel like there was never a slowdown. I loved Kat, and I loved her journey of self-discovery, because it's just like, her life kind of got taken away from her. And by the end of this movie, it's like she got it back. She was able to rediscover herself, and just seeing her parents again, I think that was really awesome as well. So again, 10 out of 10 for me. Becca, what about you?
I think I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I think it's really well made. And I would say, don't go into this movie with expectations from the trailer. I think that might have been what threw me off initially, is that I thought that it was going to be more on the creepy side. I thought it was going to be more Coraline-esque. And that the concept of like the demons messing with Kat's character, I thought that was going to be more supernatural, but the movie really surprised me with the directions that they took it. And I think that there's a lot of great story that I didn't see coming, but be prepared for there to be a lot of subplots. So there's a lot of things that, they end up coming together. But I think that initially seeing all of the things that were happening, all the various subplots happening simultaneously, threw me off just a little bit. But that's the only reason I knocked it down to a 9. But it's a great movie.
Oh, nice. D?
I would definitely give this one I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10. There were moments in the movie where I did not like Kat's approach or her attitude towards certain people and stuff. It was almost like she was blaming herself, but in the same turn, it was like she didn't want to be friends with anybody. She didn't really want to open up. And then it just kind of, it was like wash, rinse, repeat for me throughout the movie. I wish it was a little darker, I would say. Like, because it was like she goes through a tragedy, and then it's like, then you get Wendell and Wild at moments, and they're just kind of like goofing off. Like, what the hell are these guys doing? And it's like, and then it's like, well, this girl, they killed her parents. I mean, you don't know it's definitely them that would have won.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, you would think, because it's like she's their hell maiden and stuff. I wish it were just a little tighter plot wise and things like that. Like Becca mentioned, there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. So be ready for the subplots, but not bad at all. Love the practical stop motion. It's always fun to get a movie like this, and we'll see what they do with it.
Okay, awesome. All right, there you have it. This is our final review for the spooky season. Thank you everybody for watching this review. Becca, thank you so much for joining us. Let everybody in social media land know where they can find you at.
You can find me on Instagram under River Moriarty.
And you can find me at rebellious_D23 at Instagram.com. And Banks, if they need a hero, you would have been able to save her parents now. If they had only called Benjamin Banks, you would have grabbed a bat like Clark.
Hey.
I'm just saying. I mean, where can they find you at?
Hey, you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at KingBenji_Banks on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me on Facebook at Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, then I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. Thank you all again for watching this review. Check out some more reviews that we have here on this channel, along with interviews and reaction videos. Check out our podcast. We have brand new episodes every Tuesday. The link is down below. And make sure that you stay safe. The spooky season.
Check those apples. Check the candy apples.
Check the apples. Check the like, yo. I've seen stories of people cracking open their candy and there's a mixtape inside. So just make sure you check everything. Stay safe. Keep them pinkies up. Stay positive. The Great Turkey War is coming up soon. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Peace. Thank you for watching a brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. Make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to our channel. Hit the bell button so that way you're always notified when we have new content on our channel. Make sure you check out our podcast where we release new episodes every Tuesday and the video of that episode is uploaded on Friday. And you can find new episodes of our podcast on all podcast platforms. Make sure you follow all the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also, we have a Patreon. If you're feeling generous and would love to donate to us, it's at Leveling Up Banks. And huge shout out to our patrons. We really appreciate you and thank you for the support. We'll see you next time on Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.